Councilmember Reed,
Here.
Councilmember Anderson,
Here.
Mayor Truman,
Here.
Councilmember Gregory,
Here.
Councilmember Daniels,
Here.
Councilmember Evans,
Here.
Councilmember Stamm.
Present.
I'll stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Like we just had the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Moving on to the approval of tonight's agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda. Any further questions? All in favor, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to approval of the minutes of the June 2nd meeting.
Move to approve the minutes of June 2nd, 2026 regular meeting as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the June 2nd meeting. Any further questions or discussions? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to presentations and proclamations. Don't have anything tonight. Moving on to the public forum. Is there anyone here that from the public that'd like to address the council on anything that's not on the agenda? If not, we'll close the public hearing, move on to appointments. I have an appointment for the Recreation Commission Board, Jamie Anderson. Is this a reappointment or is this new?
Reappointment.
Reappointment.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the reappointment of Jamie Anderson to the Recreation Commission Board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to reappoint Jamie Anderson to the Recreation Commission Board. Any further questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And we on to item 10, old business. Ordinance.
Wanted to let everyone know that there is an open position for the Rec Commission. So if anyone in the public is interested in serving on that board, to either let yourself or me know so we can get that filled.
It's just open to the public
It is open to the public.
spot? Okay. We'll see if we can fill that. Okay, moving on to ordinance number 1445-26. This is zoning regulation change for modular homes. This is for the second reading, correct? Yes.
Yes, sir. All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, before you this evening is the regulation change for modular homes. This is the second reading. Just as a quick reminder, this is adding modular homes to be allowed in all residential districts. Currently, they're a residential design manufactured homes in all residential districts. And I just misspoke. I said manufactured modular. Sorry, there's too many terms in this in the code. To allow residential design modular homes in all residential districts. Currently, modular homes are allowed in ag and suburban residential. This allows them in all zoning districts with a list of criteria that they have to meet. If they go into an infill lot, they have to match at least what 50% of the homes on the lot have. So if they have a covered porch or if they have a garage, they have to have those in an infill lot so that they fit into the neighborhood. I will stand for any questions you might have, and we recommend approving the second reading.
Yeah.
Kyle, when you misspoke, it brought a question to my mind. Can you clarify the difference between a modular and a manufactured home?
So a manufactured home comes in, is built on a frame, it's driven in on site. So both of them are driven in on site. The frame never leaves a manufactured home. The wheels can be removed, but the frame doesn't. So it's anchored differently. A modular home is brought in on a chassis or on a trailer of sorts, and it is lifted off of that trailer and put onto a foundation. So the structure, the understructure is different, and then they're anchored differently. A manufactured home could go on a permanent foundation, but it's still going to have that metal frame underneath of it, where a modular does not have that permanent frame.
Okay. Thank you.
And then the building standards of them are different.
Any other comments, questions? Chris?
So I'm not very good at speaking, so I'm going to try to say this as best as I can. I'm one of the people that opposed it last time. I have no problem with the modular homes, and I love the fact that we're trying to find ways to be able to provide homes for people of all levels. I don't like the idea that that we're trying to do a blanket coverage for any neighborhood. And so I wanted to throw that out there.
Jeannie?
Kyle, why is it necessary at this point to make it a blanket ordinance and not just like, okay, we're going to maybe have a set of modular homes, see how it works? I just am curious.
So we could have approached it using a PUD, planned unit development. However, there is at least one, I think there's at least two modulars already within traditional neighborhoods that have had special use or special permission in the past. And these homes are built to the same standard as a stick-built home. They follow the same inspections, the same codes. And so we just felt it was a better option to be able to provide or better to provide another option for house building in the community. Like I said, it could potentially go through the PUD process just for that one area. But when I looked at other cities, the majority of our surrounding cities all allow these by right. And so there's no special use district. Derby, Bel Air, Newton, Mays, all of them allow for modular homes from my research and speaking with their planning and zoning administrators. So very similar communities already have it in code. We were the most restrictive.
Are they setting standards higher though than just, hey, we'll just throw up a house here and there?
So Newton and Mays, no. Derby, and Mr. Stan might be able to maybe knows more than I do on that one, but Derby, to my knowledge, I don't believe they had any standards. They also allow modular commercial buildings in Derby. Bel Air was each zoning district has a minimum size requirement, and so as long as the modular meets the size requirement for that zoning district, so they have like 6 residential districts, and each district has a different minimum size of home in that district. And so as long as the modular meets that size requirement, it was approved. And Mays and Newton did not actually have specific definitions for modular. So my understanding from both of them was they just treat it like a stick-built home. So so we actually have a definition. Those two communities don't have a definition for it.
Did we create a definition?
We did. That's in this.
That's part of this.
Mhm.
Okay, well, that's what I thought when I read it.
The long definition, but it's a definition. So
What is that?
Chris?
So I guess my other question would be is you mentioned some of the other towns and so forth that are doing this as well. How long have they been doing it?
Newton, I think, well, I don't remember when Derby's was approved. Derby's is, I think, a fairly more recent ordinance. Newton's was just done within the last 5 years, I believe, when they updated their code, and it allows it by right. It can be now if there is an HOA in a neighborhood, it might restrict the type of building that can be put in there. But as far as within the city code, they don't restrict modulars in their code. So like I said, HOAs could have design requirements or size requirements. I know like Valley Creek, I believe, has a size requirement in there. So like if these modulars don't meet that size requirement, and then they also, I think, have a design requirement too. And so if they don't meet those, then Valley Creek wouldn't allow them to go into that neighborhood. So there's a variety. If I don't know if you've ever driven east on Kellogg, there's another modular home facility out there that has 2-story modular homes, and to me, you wouldn't even know it's a modular other than for the fact that it's sitting on their lot. So there's different styles of them.
Any other questions or comments? Jeannie?
Well, I'm all about more housing for people. I think it's important, something besides duplexes. But I am concerned that by going across the board, that it may, even though you say that there are requirements, like there were requirements when the first one went in, when Joe was involved last time. And he met those requirements, but he went well above the requirements, which completely made it look like it's not a modular home. But a basic modular home, and say this development that we're talking about, it may look like it's like they're going to follow the rules, and they will when they build it, because that's what we're expecting. But what happens the next day, the next year, 5 years down the road? If the whole area is laid out with basic expectations, but then nothing happens after that, I know we have our people that write tickets for tall weeds, and we have people that take care of other things, but I'm just concerned that we need to have the expectations set, and they need to be followed through, whether it's with the developer or obviously the city people will continue to do their job to make sure the ordinances are followed. But I have some reservations about it across the board.
And if I can clarify, so is your concern that one that doesn't meet these standards would go in?
Yes.
Okay, so when they come for a building permit, it has to meet these standards before we approve the permit for them to put that building on that lot.
I understand that. There have been instances when they put what they were supposed to do and you approved it, and then it wasn't done that way. And so that's why I'm like, okay, well, they wanted to do it with lesser pitch on the roof, or lesser brick on the front, or not a carport, just a patch in the grass to park. So because you approve what they're doing, and I know you're checking out when they're building it, that's my concern in, say, established neighborhoods. Now, on the flip side, I may live in a neighborhood that has a dilapidated house. Take that down and put up a modular, and I'd be really happy because now the mice are gone or whatever. But my point is, I'm just curious why we can't do it temporarily to see how it does instead of going across the board.
That's what we have the building inspectors for. If they don't comply with the permit they've taken out, then they have to comply with that.
Do they, though?
Yeah, they have to. And it's up to our compliance officers to see that they do. Because we're the ones that have to say, yeah, the house is built the way it's supposed to be built. And if we don't say it, and we can't control after it's built, how it's taken care of, that's ridiculous to think we could do
Well,
that. But
besides, obviously, tall weeds, mow your grass, that type of thing. Obviously, that's what we have people to do that.
Ben,
Amy was first.
who? Amy?
okay.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to say that I would rather have modular homes that are owned by single families than duplexes with landlords and renters. So, and the other thing I wanted to say is we can always change the ordinance in the future again, right? If it's total disaster, we can always go back and change it in the future, so.
Ben?
I think a lot of the apprehension comes from the similarities, or what people perceive as similarities, between mobile homes and modular homes. And having been in the home building industry way back when, the specs that they build these to are there's usually a higher tolerance than site-built homes because of the fact we spoke about it last meeting of having to move them. If you drive around and look at some of the infill duplexes that we have, especially on the west side of town, that builders have put in, they've got pitch on their, they don't have a minimum pitch that I'm aware of. And some of those duplexes have darn near a flat roof, and they look terrible, even though they're a newer build. And I'm with Amy. I would rather see single-family homes and create neighborhoods that people can get some equity in their home and some stakeholder in this community. So I think that that's the biggest apprehension is that us comparing them, and they're not. They're really they're a stick-built, site-built home that's built off-site and brought in. So I'm all for this.
Matt?
Trying to decide how to do this politically correct. We've approved some duplexes to come into town. Not duplexes, apartments, whatever you want, fourplexes. And I'm sorry, those are the ugliest things I've ever seen, but they're stick built from the ground up. I'd rather see a manufactured home that looks like a home than what I call a chicken coop. So I have no problem with this either.
Eric?
I got a daughter that's 21, about a year away from graduating from college. So the idea of a home like this as a starter home makes me a lot happier than some of the stuff I drive around or I see listed at the same price. So there's some tiny houses out there right now that are listed for more than what this guy's talking about in way worse conditions. So this actually makes me happy as a parent. I would much rather see her move into something like this than continue to throw money into an apartment or a duplex or something.
Matt?
I agree with Councilman Scriven.
Jeannie?
I'm all about single family getting a place to live. I think it's good. I'm just not a fan of across the city.
I would like to maybe kind of address Councilmember Daniels and Anderson's comments. So in regards to this being a blanket ordinance, currently all zoning districts can have a manufactured home, which is a frame. That's approved in all zoning districts right now. These are better built. They're built to a better standard. So with that, to me, that's one of the things that's better about having this as a blanket is we already allow manufactured homes across the city. So this is allowing a higher quality home in all zoning districts.
Any other questions or comments? I get a motion to approve.
Move to approve ordinance 1445-26 for second reading and approve the mayor to sign.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 1445-26. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to new business, Trails End Phase 1 change order number 4.
Good evening, Jake Basho with SEH. We spoke about Trails End a month ago about some of the grade changes that were needed to be made in the project. This change order is to adjust the water main appurtenances, valve boxes, hydrants, to that correct grade that had to be adjusted during.
Any questions, comments? Chris?
So I just wanted to ask, these change orders that we're looking at that's coming up the next few is because of that grade change.
So this one is Trails End. The next,
Did I misread that?
the next ones are Harvest Place.
Okay, I apologize. Thank you.
Ben?
So Sandra, this change order can be added in with the pile from last meeting that we're still researching and,
That would be correct.
Okay.
This would be adding to the large change order that was approved that is not yet resolved. But the council decided to go ahead and approve that to make that a cleaner process. And we are still working through some of those Q&As on that resolution. I did receive your comments today, and I do appreciate that very much. That would be the second time I got them on the same night as council. So no time to review, but I will review and we'll keep that process going.
Jake, was this something that came up after the last change orders, or why is this a separate change order not included in the last one that we did?
Yeah, good question. Before this change order didn't get added. I didn't like their initial price that they were giving. I really pushed back on it. Some of these prices I think are too high. So that was my initial reaction was, hey, these are ridiculous prices. You need to look at this again. I didn't receive any further feedback from the contractor on it. And at some point it got made the decision to go ahead and move forward with it on site. So my initial pushback on this and why it wasn't on the original change order was because I thought the prices were too high for some of these adjustments. I thought the contractor was taking advantage of the fact. Didn't get added. That was my pushback and my delay.
Any questions or comments? Amy?
So Jake, when you provided that pushback to the contractor, they never got back with you with any sort of response, or they did?
They did not.
Who's that contractor?
Andale Construction.
Just for clarification, I was in communication with Andale at that time. And the information with the project manager on site at the time and myself that we were receiving is that there would be less cost by proceeding at that time because of the seating. And definitely, I believe you have some emails to that effect where I definitely made sure that we were looping Jake in on that. I do appreciate that he was holding back to try to review pricing. That's something that we appreciate that our engineer would do. But that process proceeded between myself and I believe I was even in consultation with council on that and the project manager on site at the time to try to save additional costs. So again, appreciate the effort on that, but it was our understanding that we needed to proceed to save cost.
Any other comments, questions? We'll get a motion to approve.
I move to approve the Trails End 1 change order number 4 fire hydrants and valve box elevation adjustments in the amount of $16,835 and approve the mayor to sign.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve Trails End change order number 4. Any other questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to Harvest Place, Phase 1, change order number 4.
Apologize for the multiple change orders on the same project here. We've got 3 upcoming, 3 different items. So I'll hit on one and then we'll kind of take them one by one, but they are all on Harvest Place Phase 1. So the first one is for median curb on Sunflower Drive. I believe we discussed this before at a previous meeting where we discussed the addition of the pipe that goes under Sunflower Drive. So the story behind Sunflower Drive is while the project was out to bid, it was decided between city staff and the developer that we would add Sunflower Drive to the plat and to the project. So for us as SCH, we were also asked to keep the project moving and bid the project when it was originally, while it was out to bid. So we didn't push that I recall very much. So we put together a plan for Sunflower Drive. However, we knew that there were going to be things that we needed to address later as we just didn't have time to fully design Sunflower Drive at that time. But in order to get a majority of the project costs into the bid, so there was limited change orders at the end that didn't include the entire Sunflower Drive, we put that plan out to bid. So we knew that there were going to be added costs later to Sunflower Drive for these little details, one being the median. We added the median on Sunflower Drive. One purpose was there's a median across the street on the school drive. Now it's a painted median, but there is drives line up a little bit better. Also with the commercial area in adjacent to Sunflower Drive, we anticipate construction or commercial traffic to be coming in on Sunflower Drive at this location. So a median to help protect and prohibit truck traffic from really taking up the entire street is why we introduced the median, why it has been added after the fact.
Any questions, comments? Can you get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the Harvest Place Phase 1 change order number 4 for adding medium curb at Sunflower Drive in the amount of $11,425.82 and approve the mayor to sign.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the Harvest Place Phase 1 change order number 4. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to Harvest Place Phase 1 change order number 7.
This one is for additional hydro seeding and mulch in some of the areas of the sidewalks that are around the wet pond areas. Now, when they built these sidewalks that go around the wet pond areas, there are some areas that weren't quite vegetated enough from the previous mass grading project. And so it was decided that it was proposed to add this hydro seeding to the project to basically stabilize some of these areas that hadn't taken off.
Any questions or comments? Can get a motion? Oh, Amy.
I had a question. Do you know like how many square feet of mulch that's providing? It seems like the cost is higher than what I've seen.
I don't.
Okay.
Just know that there's a pretty significant length of sidewalk trail around the wet pond areas in Harvest Place Phase 1.
Is there an option to get like an independent bid from, say, a sod company to, I mean, I know this is a low cost, but I feel like every change order, we need to be asking a few more questions.
I don't disagree with you. There is an option to get a second bid. Usually the contractor on site is your best option. However, there's always that option to get their price and then compare it to somebody else. Now, somebody else usually has a mobilization cost. However, that is a good practice, and I would definitely.
Yeah, I'd be more comfortable if we had more than one option because the person providing the price knows that we're not going to go to anybody else. So makes it less likely for them to be competitive. But I also don't know about the whole change order process and what we can and can't do.
I think a goal, because I appreciate trying to make sure that we are proceeding under the best pricing possible for the community. And I think probably the better goal there would be, as we've discussed, even at maybe the meeting before last, this direction where we're going to improve this process together so that moving forward, perhaps we're putting out bids with projects that have most of the components in there and not missing components so that when we're in the bid stage, which is when you're getting those different bids for these different pieces, you're getting that multiple view and that option for price comparison. In this latter stage, Jake's right, you're working on site with this one particular contractor. You don't want to mess around with warranty issues. And so you're going to be more likely to stay with the contractor you're already contracted with. So you kind of, and not all change orders could ever be foreseen. I do want to state that very clearly. We could never think that we could produce a product that's never going to have a change order. We definitely believe that there are some improvements that can be made here to where there would be less and to where more components are being reviewed in a manner that's going to prevent some of the stuff from coming up at a later date. And I think that's the bigger goal.
That makes sense. And I just tried to do a little education for myself because I'm not used to this process. And what I've learned is the lowest bidder in the beginning isn't always the best deal because they could have 12 change orders where somebody else could have 3, and then it's less in the end. So I agree with that moving forward, that's a very good idea. Thank you.
Sunflower Drive is a perfect example of, we went about it of let's put some cost in there for paving and let's just add later. If we were to do that now, we'd probably rethink how we do that and just push the bid date back the extra weeks, whatever it would have taken for us to fully design it.
Any other questions? To get a motion to approve?
Move to approve Harvest Place Phase 1 change order number 7 for permanent seed and mulch in the amount of $4,600 and approve the mayor to sign.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the Harvest Place Phase 1 change order number 7. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to Harvest Place Phase 1 change order number 8.
And sorry for the multiple change orders on the same project. This is for that median area on Sunflower Drive. In addition, anytime you add a median, you also need to add a keep right sign so that oncoming traffic knows to stay right at the median. This is for
Any questions or comments? Get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the Harvest Place Phase 1 change order number 8 for keep right signs in the amount of $3,100 and approve the mayor to sign.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve Harvest Place Phase 1 change order number 8. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to ordinance 1447-26, maximum speed limit on Seneca, 5th, Ford Tanner Trail, and Chisholm Trail.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Clint, can you bring up the picture? Might be easier as I talk about it to see the picture. This started off, initially we were looking at Seneca, Tanner Trail, and Chisholm Trail. I say we, Rodney and I went out, drove it up and down several times. And then we had a conversation with PEC as well. In driving that, Seneca was what we looked at initially. And in driving it, both Rodney and I felt we did multiple speeds. 30 felt like the safer speed. It's a little wider on the south end of the road, closer to Ford Street. That narrows, and you have the median as you go north of the roundabout. I think there's a little bit of median south of the roundabout as well. We felt like that was safer at 30. And having a conversation with PEC, they were recommending 45. We discussed it for a while, and the reasoning, let me back up a little bit. So those of you that have been around for the speed limit changes and when we've done speed limits, you've heard us talk about the 85th percentile. And that was from the MUTCD. They recommended, based on drivers' habits, the 85th percentile. That has changed. And now it's based on their recommendation is you base it on the area, what's in the area. Is it residential? What's it being used for? Is there commercial there? Vulnerable people such as, walkers, people, kids out walking, bicycle riders, things like that. And just how does it feel type of thing. And so that's changed. And so part of the reason they thought it should be 45 had nothing to do with the area. Well, it did the area. The use, the road width, none of that was really factored in as much as the cohesiveness of the areas around it. 5th Street, Ford Street. I talked to them and told them my plan as this area develops. And as you can see from the work out there, they're developing this, and it's going to be sooner rather than later. My plan was to come back to council for 5th Street and Ford Street. They felt good about recommending 30 on Seneca, but they thought we should proceed now with Ford and 5th Street. And I don't necessarily disagree. Part of the reasoning behind that is, the school on Tanner and Chisholm there, or on Tanner, I think it's going to be addressed on Tanner. That school is going to be open in August. Traffic is going to be heavy in there. And I'm a lot concerned about the intersection at 5th and Seneca with all the traffic, the bus traffic, people trying to get onto 5th and cars doing 45 mile an hour, because we all know it's posted at 45. likely drivers are probably doing 50 and sometimes more. And so I think it warrants it now and not waiting until that subdivision is fully developed out. As you see on the picture, their recommendation for Tanner Trail and Chisholm Trail is 30. I wrote in the ordinance, and I want to make it clear, they recommend 30. I wrote in the ordinance 20 because Rodney and I have driven that. We drove it several times, and I think 20 is going to be better. I think the road is narrow. You have the school there. You have a speed hump there. You have the park on the south side of the school that is, it's going to have the angle parking right there at the park. 20 is not uncommon for, areas around the schools and the parks. If you look at Wheatland, Fieldstone is 20 miles an hour, as well as Meadow as you go around that curve. You look around Lions Park, and at least one side of Arrowhead Park is 20 mile an hour. I know in the future, as they wrote on there, this is their picture from PEC. They're recommending 20 in that development as it gets finished and opened up. That is to be cohesive and similar to some of the other developments around town. That is my reasoning for bringing this to you now, and the reason for so many streets at once. It was a recommendation of theirs. I think it's a good recommendation, again, with all the traffic. And so 30 mile an hour on Seneca, I'm recommending Tanner Trail and Chisholm Trail be 20. So if you want to go with PEC's recommendation, you will have to change that in that ordinance. And then lost my train of thought there. 30 on Fifth Street out to just east of Fiddler's Creek. That's that little red box at the top of the screen on the right side. And then 40 from there all the rest of the way out to Broadway. And then on Ford Street, it would be 30 out to just east of Seneca, and then 40 the rest of the way out to Broadway. I think I've covered most of it, so I'll stand for any questions that you might have.
Ben?
Lloyd, I'm in favor of the lower speed limits. I think with the density of the housing that's going in here and the congestion with the school, I would rather see us err on the side of caution and keep it lower, and not move it, not change it later because there's more houses being built. Change it once, train the drivers to get used to it, and do it all at once and rip the Band-Aid off. And I'm sure we'll hear about it, but I would rather err on the side of safety.
Amy?
I agree with Council Member Anderson. I did have a question, though. You said 40 all the way to Broadway. Isn't that 45 now? It's 40 for a little bit,
That
then
would be
45.
changed as well. That's part of this.
And do we need to go that far from 45 to 40 when we're up over the hill and all?
I think as you're going that way, you get closer to Broadway, you're going to have, they're getting ready to start the second roundabout at 85th and Broadway, or have a roundabout at 85th and Broadway. You got the one down there. You're going to be slowing down anyway. It's not that much further. My bigger concern is when you're coming into town. I want to make sure as you get there by Fiddler's Creek, there's ample time and for people to start slowing down. You've got Fiddler's Creek there, you got High Point there, and then you're going to have that. Before you know it, you're right on top of the intersection at 5th and Seneca. And so 40 just seemed, and PEC agreed with me on that. That was more reasonable.
I was referring to Ford Street, but kind of the same applies, I guess.
Kind of the same. As you come up, the Arbor Valley out there is filling up quick. Last council meeting, I think we heard they were starting, or they were doing something with phase 2 of Arbor Valley. 81 Speedway's out there. And from my understanding, there's more homes that'll end up out there eventually, whether it's.
Chris?
I just wanted to say I agree with the other council members that have spoken in regards to this. And I really wanted to say thank you for looking to the future. And like Ben said, trying to get everything set so we can start creating those habits now. So thank you. I'm all about it as well.
Ben?
This is either for Lloyd or for Rodney. Have we ever priced any kind of warning signs that alert drivers that they're to slow down over the speed limit? I know some communities have them. The interstate put something similar where it goes from 70 to 60. I don't know if we've ever looked at the cost of those, just with the amount of traffic that we have coming in, if we've ever looked at something like that. And I'm pretty sure they're solar powered, so it wouldn't be like running any power to them. But I know the community of Haven, having going out there for a basketball tournament the last couple of years, they have something that if you're going over it, it sends a strobe. And if you're going the speed limit or under, it says thank you or something. It's
So something that shows, actually, I have priced those.
I know that I've heard from some, and maybe it was from you, if you have the one that shows their speed, then it kind of challenges them to see how fast they can go. But the other ones that just say, slow down.
I think that is actually the one I looked at, what you just described. And it can be a challenge, I suppose, but I think it also shows them. I don't know what the one on the interstate costs. I know like an electronic speed limit sign is around $7,000.
Okay.
I recently priced those for other areas and in hopes of finding a grant in the future.
I think it would be good to have that pricing available for problem areas if there's something that we're continually having trouble with speeding. And I mean, the way this area is getting ready to explode.
That's what I
Growth.
found out, and that's why we priced them in hopes of having that.
Okay.
Should a grant come available and we can write that rather quickly. That most of those are pretty mobile. It's just you can move them to different signposts that are already in place. They have some solar, some batteries where you have backup batteries and you just go open a box and swap them out.
Eric?
This new school completely changes the dynamics of what we consider the walk zone with school. So I think that's going to be a real challenge, figuring out who's walking to school that wasn't in the areas where kids are coming from that they weren't necessarily walking before. You're going to have kids trying to cross from, High Point that haven't ever crossed, because we took them to school before and now they're not. Kids up on North Seneca who are going to be trying to cross. So I think the slower the better, because I think it's going to change a lot of that walking traffic. So.
Any other questions or comments?
I move to waive the first reading, approve ordinance number 1447-26, and approve the mayor to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to waive the first reading. Ordinance 1447-26. Any further questions or discussion?
There is a correction, I guess, Kyle brought to my attention, misspelled. Oh, Gina brought it. Chisholm was misspelled.
Yes, Chisholm is misspelled everywhere in here, but Kyle said it is correct on the plat. Good point.
You can adjust to be as amended.
Okay.
So amended.
I move to approve the amended the amended ordinance to, let me try again. I move to waive the first reading and approve the amended ordinance number 1447-26 and approve the mayor to sign.
And I second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve the amended ordinance 1447-26. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to the hot topic of the night. Electric bicycles, electric scooters, and electric motorcycles. All right.
Right. So it was my understanding at one of the council meetings I was not at, I was at a conference, that council had desired a discussion, electric bicycles, scooters that have showing up all over town. So I put this together to show you. The memo that I gave you has the definition straight out of the standard traffic ordinance that is adopted yearly now by council. And this is straight out of the latest edition. I hope you had time to read that instead of me standing here reading it to you. I think to start off with, I guess, does council have questions of me? For me? And then my ultimate goal tonight, nothing to be decided tonight, is direction from council. And I should probably say, I think as we're not unique in Kansas and probably across the whole United States, and these showing up in mass. This is, I've seen emails on the listserv for the organizations that I'm involved in, asking, hey, what kind of ordinance do you have out there? Or is anyone else having problems with this? It's come up in meetings. I know there are a couple of cities at least, or 2 or 3 cities in the KC metro area that do have ordinances on this. I heard of an ordinance, the closest one I've heard to us is Cheney. I talked to them. It's not as restrictive as I was told initially, but they do have a local ordinance that is a little more restrictive. So I think to start with a discussion, but any questions, I would like some guidance from council on what you would like staff to do.
Age limits.
I have seen that in some communities.
I mean, if you got traffic laws, you assume they got to be 16.
I've seen that on at least one for the stand-up scooters. They have an age limit, and I believe it is 16. Don't know that I've seen that on every one of them. I've seen it on one up in the KC metro area, I believe. 16 is what they set the age limit at.
Ben.
So an ordinance is all well and good, but my question is over the enforcement. What are we able to enforce, and how can our staff enforce this? By the way, I'm in favor of something, but if we don't have any measure or way to enforce it, how do you identify? I mean, we had 2 gentlemen that came and spoke when you were gone, and that's what really brought this up. And I'm sure other council members have heard this. I've heard it from people just in passing of, man, there's a lot of scooters, or somebody about hit me on the sidewalk, whatever. How do we identify it? They were talked about going 20 down the road and somebody buzzed by them and was going 30 on one of these. They look like a dirt bike almost, but how do you identify those, and do you stop them, and is there a way to check this, or what's the enforcement going to be on something like this if we have the ordinance is my question.
If they're 14 or above, it could be a traffic citation. I think on what you're talking about, it's essentially classified as a motorcycle. If it doesn't have the pedals and it doesn't meet the definitions of the electric bicycle, class 1, 2, or 3, it's going to be a motorcycle that has to be registered. So those can be impounded, towed. I think under 14, we would have to then look at addressing it with parents. But they can be impounded if they're not registered, tagged, insured. Most of those you're seeing, they're not capable of being tagged, insured, or registered. Well, they may be insurance. Tagged and registered because they don't have the requirements to do that. They don't have the headlights, the taillights, all the equipment necessary to get them tagged legally.
I'll follow up. Do you see any problem with us enforcing an ordinance if we pass something that would restrict?
Is it going to be easy? Probably not. These things are everywhere right now. There'll be some upset people. I mean, we would do our best to enforce it like we do any other. Does that mean we're going to stop at 100%? No. Going to be people that get them without educating themselves on what the laws are. They're gonna try. Had some that were educated previously, and final straw was, it's like, look, we're going to cite you, the parents, we're going to impound. And we haven't seen that one as much since. I don't know that we've seen it at all since then. I can't stand up here and say we're going to stop at 100% because that's not. But it, and it kind of depends on what ordinance you're looking at. There's various ordinances. We've talked about the stand-up scooters are the ones that I've seen. There is an age limit on the class 3. You have to be over. There's an age restriction on the class 3 electric bicycle. The others, there's not. There are communities that allow them on the sidewalks. The close one I talked about, Cheney, they actually don't allow you to ride them on the sidewalk on Main Street. You have to get off the bicycle, push it. Various things you could do. Some may be more difficult than others.
Amy?
I had a couple of clarification questions. It said in one area, an electric assisted bicycle may be ridden in places where bicycles are allowed. So it can be in the street or the sidewalk, correct? And were scooters the same way, the streets or the sidewalk?
Unless council wanted something different.
Okay. And then my second
If you're on
question.
the street, I will clarify, when you're on the street, you have to follow the traffic laws.
Okay. My second question, it looks like there's different parameters for the stages of electric bikes, but there's not for scooters. Is that right? So do you know, can the scooters go faster than 20, 28 miles an hour?
That I don't know. I do not know.
Okay.
I don't, it would be a guess.
I was just
I'm
curious.
sure there are probably some out there that are faster than others. Some that look pretty fast and some. Sure, yeah.
A little disturbing that there's no controls over that,
I hope, and Sandra and I haven't really talked about this. I know there was the league, and we did talk about that. The league, I think, presented this session on the electric bicycles. I think the cities, maybe through
Well, this isn't about the electric scooters or anything. This is just mini bikes is what I call them, the motorized. Just have an officer go up there at closing time at the pool and just pick them up. I know there's at least 3 or 4 of them up there because 2 of them come out of my neighborhood and they're about 12 and 14 years old driving them. I just write the parents a ticket. To me, that's borderlines on child endangerment, letting your kid ride those things without helmets, without supervision, they just, they scoot across town and you'll see them parked over at the swimming pool or in front of the ice cream shop. So, they can't walk them from Elm Street to Main Street, and we know they don't. So I've had a couple of them pass me on the road even. So we've got a problem in town with not only, and I think those electric scooters will go 30 mile an hour. That one that buzzed down Sheridan was moving pretty fast. So It's something we got to look at. I just don't know where we're going to start with it. It looks like we could get some help with the state and everybody else, but that's pretty big up there. So. Jeannie.
Well, dealing with young people as a teacher, sometimes when one kid gets stopped or called out or loses privileges, the word starts to spread. And where I live, there's a lot of it going on. I will say, since it's gotten hot, minimal. They don't come outside anymore. But my point is I know your officers are doing their job and they do it well. But if they see one that's just crazy, stop them. Hey, this is the ordinance, this is the rule, this is how you need to handle yourself, and pretty soon they're going to tell their friends, man, I got stopped, and they're going to take my bike. And, what I call this community policing. When I was teaching, I called it something different. But the pressure that they put on each other, the kids put on each other, you got stopped? Oh, you got stopped. I'm not getting stopped. I mean, so there is a little bit of healthy education with them without having to go make a rule for this and a rule for that. And we'd like for parents to be responsible, but
we have done that. We have made stops and educated. We haven't written tickets that I'm aware of. I'm not aware of any tickets that I'm certain that we have not impounded any. We have stopped and educated the kids riding, and in some instances on repeat. Went to the house. I agree with you. That helps, I think. Not stopped it and probably won't stop it
No.
now, but yes, we have. Education's always my preference initially when something ain't really new, but I don't want to use the word explosion. It's just, there's been a lot. And a lot of the folks that are getting these aren't familiar. So we certainly try to educate first.
Well, and I think that's probably the first step to help, because they're going to go home and probably tell their parents, or their friends are going to tell
I
their
hope so.
parents.
I hope so. And like I said, in some cases, we went to the house and talked to the parents.
Amy?
Lord, I appreciate all the work you did in putting together this information. It's helpful. You asked for guidance from us, and I think what I would like to see is looking at maybe 3 to 5 different cities around our size in this area and see if they have any kind of ordinances and what the specifics those are and how they're working for them. And maybe that way we're not recreating the wheel. We're looking at what others are doing and what's working and what's not. And then when the community does get upset, we can say, well, they're doing the same thing in 4 different cities. Sorry to put more work on you.
It'll be a simple email.
Thank you.
Eric?
I don't know if it'd be possible, like, I know owning a business on Main Street, I don't know if Chris Strunk has any issues with this, but eventually somebody's going to get hit stepping out of a business downtown. My door, Lavinia, opens out, and either somebody's going to open a door and hit somebody who's coming on a scooter real fast, or somebody's going to step out in front. I mean, I've had it happen where I've had people jump out of the road because kids are flying by on scooters or electric bikes or whatever. So I don't know if it'd be possible, to have like a 2-block area where they can't ride on the sidewalk, just because, of course, we always talk about protecting downtown and the integrity of it and things like that, but somebody's going to get hurt downtown at some point when they're stepping out of a business, whether it's out of a salon or whatever the case may be. I don't know if we can focus on that area there. I mean, it's a nice wide sidewalk, but that's, I don't know if we can do that to minimize that traffic downtown. I don't know if we have that issue or not, but I know we do.
I mean, yeah, if that's what council wants, we can.
Matt?
I agree with what Councilman Scriven just said, downtown probably needs something done. But I really don't know. I'm with you. I don't know how to enforce this, but I know what'll happen is some kid's going to get hurt because my neighbor said she's knows of a kid in Wesley with TBI right now. And it's from a scooter accident, hit his head on the concrete and not sure if he's going to live or not. It's going to take someone getting hurt to make changes. And that's sad, but
I keep changing
Chris.
my mind. I just wanted to say, I agree with Councilmember Reed in the aspect of, well, what I want to say is that I wonder if we can look at the other townships and so forth and do something about the sidewalk, because that's my biggest concern from what I've been told by other constituents, is it's on the sidewalk. That's where they're worried. It's not necessarily in the street per se, but getting sideswiped or hit or whatever on the sidewalk. So I'd like to see what other townships are doing in regards to downtown and then the congested areas, if you will. Because you mentioned, if I remember right, you said something about you have to walk your bicycle in Cheney. And I think that's a great idea, because I know that a lot of constituents tell me they go, I'll be walking and it's just, and that's what they're concerned about. So.
So I can certainly look at doing that. I will reach out to the other communities. I think I already have the ordinance from Cheney as well. And then if council's wanting further all sidewalks, or are you talking, are there certain areas? The one thing that I would say to keep in mind is if we take them off of all sidewalks, we're putting them on the street with 3,000-pound cars.
Right.
And so, keep that in mind when we're talking about sidewalks as well. Currently, we don't have a bicycle lane. I mean, they can go in the street. It's legal for them to be in the street, and they have to follow the traffic laws. Bike lane. I would just ask that you keep that in mind. I'm not saying we shouldn't.
And I agree. I want to.
Council's decision. I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, I agree. I want to keep them safe, but I want to make sure that we're keeping everybody safe, not just from them being in the street, but also the individuals that are on the sidewalk.
I would like to see something on our Main Street corridor to, make them walk them. Because that's where most of people walking out of business is right directly on the sidewalk. It's not wide enough for bicycles, and maybe that, down Park, that first block and Ash, that first block, and Main Street, both sides of the road. I can't think of any place else that, the little mini strip mall's got plenty of space for sidewalk and bicycles, so.
Lions Park is where I almost got ran over, but it's a park, so.
Add that, just for consideration and for direction for us as we work toward this. We've had complaints at the senior center as well, in the parking lot, actually. So consideration, we'd like direction, Main Street area sidewalks. Does that include or not include the senior center and the parks, basically kind of public property areas? Just direction, I'm looking for direction. Probably also looking for direction on designated areas. Are we talking about a speed limit overall? Are we talking about scooters and e-bikes or just e-bikes? Just some clarification.
Chris?
So I was just going to add to that. So I would think the congested downtown area, and I don't want them in the street if we can get away with it. So I would say the walking of them, and I would say scooters, because they have the potential of going fast with those scooters. I've seen them go through the Emprise parking lot and just fly, and I'm waiting for a car to come in one way while they're going the other way, and I worry. So I would say that's one area I'm looking at. But I don't want to constrict them from parks and so forth as well.
Neil just up and talk to make sure I let you know, there are currently signs in the parks that restrict the motorized
Oh, okay.
vehicles, bicycles, things like that, as long as it's not a mobility device, you know.
Okay.
What, they're not allowed on the sidewalks on the park? Is that?
That's the big thing.
I'm just going to throw one more idea out. This has been a hot topic, even with the finance directors. Up in the Kansas City area, there's a lot of the suburbs up there that are putting very strict helmet laws on the kids. 12 and 18, any motorized vehicle, bicycle, you could have company everything on this list. If they're not wearing a helmet, it's a fine the first time and a compensation of the vehicle the second. That's going to at least that is something that you guys can control pretty easily and at least get some of the safety factor back. And I just want to let you know that's how Kansas City area is starting to tackle this, at least.
Ed?
I really like that idea, Clint. That's a way to attack it that we could curb, because a lot of the kids won't want to wear helmets, so they just won't ride them. And if they want to, then they can follow the rules. But as much as we've heard about the electric bikes that go 40 up to the high school or whatever, I think the bigger problem, and what I've seen personally, what I've heard about, is those scooters, because they zip in and out. And I think we just need more enforcement of, if we have signs up at the parks, you know, going to the park's one thing, but going around and around on the sidewalks at the park where there's families trying to walk with strollers and dogs and things. That's, to me, is the bigger issue. And obviously it always is bigger in the spring and summer than fall and winter. But I really like the helmet idea.
Matt?
I like the helmet idea, but define a helmet, bike helmet or motorcycle helmet? Because if you're doing 40 mile an hour, I don't know if a bike helmet is going to do you much.
Well, I think I've seen a couple comments or emails in reference to what Clint's talking to. I believe they allow bicycles. But I can't say there's not a scooter out there that will not do 40 mile an hour. I would venture to say majority of the ones we have around here are probably not doing 40 miles an hour. 40 mile an hour, it's probably going to be the electric motorcycles. That's going to fall under a different class. Those are the ones that have to be registered. Those are the ones that have the motorcycle helmet laws. That would be a different 40. Or some of the electric bicycles, class 3 may be able to do that. But that's restricted to over the age of 60.
Comment that I might just add is that this is such new territory across the state. And so I like the idea, thank you, Councilmember Reed, to check what the other communities are doing. But I think you're going to find a lot of holes still because every community is just now trying to figure out what to do. So it definitely helps to have direction from you all, because if we need to craft something to bring back, we can look at what they're doing, bring that back in, and that'll give you some additional ideas. But ultimately, we might be kind of paving our own way on this one locally. So it's really good to know what you want specifically.
I like the idea about the helmets too. We might check with their age difference or age range on helmets on those too. I mean, a helmet, bicycle helmet or motorcycle helmet, a helmet is better than nothing, one way or the other, so. Any other questions?
I have my
Gina?
homework assignment. I will work on this and get it back.
Okay. Gina?
Just a comment. What you said about educating the kids and their parents is where we need to start. This stuff is great, and yes, we do need to be able to enforce it. But the one person who came and talked to us about this said, I believe that he was walking on 5th Street and the scooter came up behind him and just almost hit him. The kids need to know stay on this side of the sidewalks, keep to the right, or let them know that you're coming up behind them. It's common courtesy, but nobody's told them these things, apparently. Maybe if we work with the schools, if there would be some kind of safety course the police could do through the
Yeah.
schools. I don't know. That's just a question, an idea.
Thank you. I forgot to bring that up, but in our department meetings, we did talk about the education perspective. What would be from both sides, educating what is a good way to get the message out to all the kids, which is probably working with the schools, and also educating, I know when we were talking, educating the seniors there, like a full-blown education, just trying to really, but the education is good. I think it's going to be the first step of rollout once we have the crafted product that you guys help us work from. And then we can start teaching on it, but that's absolutely going to be a part of it, which is going to include news articles and probably newsletters going home to parents and, you know, just everything that we can, because we think it is super important from not just the kids, but also the bystanders.
Agree.
Eric,
I hate to be negative. I think you're kind of beating your head against a wall if you're going to tell a 6th grade or 7th grade boy which side of this. Having dealing with some of these kids at the school and stuff like that. I think the best education they may get is going to be when you actually enforce it.
Ben,
Lloyd, is this something we can have our SROs work up for the school year to educate, or is that outside their?
Well, we have a good relationship with the school. Yeah, I think that's something we can. It'll go lower, you know, the SROs are in it's high school. Probably the elementary.
Yeah.
In some cases, there's some young kids out there. But I think that's a goal that we can work toward. We've worked on safety issues with the school.
Maybe we can partner up with the high school and I know they have the seat belt, I don't know, whatever club it's called now. It used to be SAD and it changed. And I know they do a lot of stuff with that, checking kids as they're leaving or getting to school. If they have their seat belts on, they give them $5 and that kind of stuff. But maybe that's something that SRO can partner with that group and go to the elementary schools and do an education on it or something. I mean, obviously that's going to be during the school year, but I think if the more people involved, the better, and the more informed they'll be. And then it doesn't always fall just on the SRO to do that. You have people to help with it.
got anything else you need from us? Direction? You got enough, or
I
you
think,
did we just muddy
got
the
enough to
water
get
for you?
I got enough to get started. I'm sure as we continue to talk about this, there will be other. I've got a basic place to start, and I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Lloyd.
Thank you.
Moving on to the water treatment plant, change order number 4.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. So we're coming before you with a change order for the water treatment plant. This change order consists of a redundant SCADA server, be a second server, a backup server, actual hardware. We've had quite a bit of discussion over this. What the actual hardware server is going to protect you from is an actual hardware failure of the hardware. Many times with computers, you're going to have a drastic software failure. It's going to fail. But what brought us to bringing this before you is this is going to be your control mechanism for your water treatment plant. This is going to be your control mechanism for your wells. If this hardware fails, you could be looking at a lead time of 3 to 4 months to get another one back. go along with this, there are some other redundancies that we have built in place in the plant. High service pumps. The high service pumps are all installed. There will be 3 high service pumps in the skids and 2 main pumps with one that'll be backup, so you can just switch to it. The chemical pumps, they won't be actually installed, but we will have redundant chemical pumps on a shelf that you can switch out fairly quickly. One big redundancy that was discussed that may be a matter of opinion was that it was chose not to purchase a backup generator for the plant. Buying phase of this, that cost was omitted. And it was thought that in the event of a power failure, that we could go back to the city of Wichita water supply at that point.
Any questions or comments?
The cost of this server will come out of pre-assigned allowances. We have discussed those allowances. There is room in those allowances for the cost of this server, so it will not change the total contract price.
Any other questions? I get a motion to approve.
Move to approve water treatment plant change order, pardon me, number 4 in the amount of $48,150 and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the water treatment plant change order number 4. Any further discussion, questions? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
We're going to item H, commercial ad valorem rebate program discussion.
Kyle, do you want to introduce this or do you just want me to go with it? Or Cindra? Cindra was there, so.
I can introduce it, but I was not at the meeting, so Ben was going to take point. But the Economic Development Board had discussion last week, I believe, regarding maybe looking at adding a commercial ad valorem rebate program. But before the Economic Development Board wanted the council's opinion before kind of having staff work on something to bring back to economic development before it came back to you to see if the council was supportive before we put work into it. So I'll let Ben lead the discussion as he was in that meeting, as Cinder was there as well.
Cindra, go ahead. You can speak first because I think you took notes and I did not.
Well, I will tell you that this is something that I was a little surprised that we don't have yet in Valley Center. We do have some rebate programs obviously in place already, where there's a residential ad valorem rebate program. And then you do have a larger, an economic development policy, which is kind of mirrored after what Sedgwick County offers. But just for a commercial ad valorem rebate program here in town, we don't offer anything. So what that basically means is if you have either a local business that wants to do a large improvement, or if you have a business that wants to build a new building, and obviously that's a private investment situation. So you want to kind of incentivize that private investment because it's no cost to the city, but it benefits in the long run. And we don't have one currently. I had been approached by a couple of businesses and are in the process of doing some of those things, whether it's a remodel or a new business, new structure. And we don't have a program or an incentive to offer. What type of program, if the council was interested in this, then the Economic Development Board could work on bringing some kind of draft options to you to review, because there are different options that can be considered. But as Kyle mentioned, they don't want to do a lot of that work until they know whether or not the concept is supported by council. So that's kind of where we are tonight, is just basically letting you know that it does appear that the Economic Development Board is fully in favor of pursuing this opportunity for local businesses. And they would just like to know if you support the concept to keep moving.
Amy.
100% yes.
Chris.
I was just going to kind of follow suit and say I definitely think this is a smart idea to go forward with. So I'd be interested to hear what they can come up with.
The board just didn't want to put forth a lot of effort into something and then bring it to us and then have the majority of us say
No.
no.
Yeah. Right.
And we bounced around some ideas so we can work out some options and some things that we can bring before the council. That's basically all we were looking for is a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And we kind of thought that, but we didn't want to get the cart before the horse. So
You got my thumbs up.
I don't know that we need to discuss much more because we basically threw out some scenarios and things, and that's what we'll kind of hash out a little more and bring that back to council with some options and what you guys think are favorable.
Amy?
The only point of clarification that I might make, just more so for public purposes too, when we are talking about a commercial ad valorem rebate program, we are not discussing current taxes, current budgets. This would only be something that was applicable to new development, which would be an increment of new taxes that does not exist today, which would be just a delay of new tax. So it helps with the tax base to the existing taxpayer. So it can be a misconceived product at times because it looks like, well, it looks like we're giving tax money back and then charging citizens for taxes. And that's actually not accurate. So I want to be sure we clarified that point.
Well, I think the council says go. All right, thank you. Moving on to approve final pay app for Harvest Place.
So you do have a copy of that final pay app on your desk. And I apologize that was not in your packet. We were working till the very last minute on trying to find a solution to this situation. So as you are aware, Harvest Place is substantially completed. There were some punch list items. The change orders that you just approved will get those punch list items taken care of. But however, since there is the issue with the north end of Sunflower Drive not being correctly platted at this point, and we do have some things that we're working through on the sidewalk. I don't know that it's an issue yet today, but we are evaluating that. The city is not in the position to accept this product or this project fully at this point because of those items. However, there are obviously builders that are wanting to pull permits and get going because the construction is complete, but we just cannot accept the project at this time because with the platting not being accurate, the city, we don't know on this particular date and time if there is any corrections that are needed. So to try to find a happy middle ground so that developers and builders and the city and the engineering firm and the contractor could all continue to move forward towards solutions and to using the product, what we've decided to proceed with is the city requesting a partial occupancy of the project. And what that would be is that we would basically close out and accept everything except the north end of Sunflower Drive and the sidewalk in question. The pay app that you have in front of you would be to complete that piece of the project. The retainage that's left on there is actually the retainage that would be left on the portion we have not accepted yet. And that's kind of a long story, but that was the best way we could figure out how to move forward so the project can continue to move forward. We don't know. We hope it's going to be a quick cleanup, but there is a review period that is necessary that would have been better to happen in the beginning, but it didn't. So it's happening at the end of the project. And until we have that review, we don't know if there's going to be any changes necessary, even though we hope and don't anticipate any, we hope, but until it's reviewed, we don't know.
Dan?
Sandra, what's the amount that we need to put into this motion?
So you would be looking at a motion to approve the $242,466.16. And this would be contingent upon engineers' review and approval because this came off the presses so last minute. I still need the engineer's approval of this pay app. So there would be a contingency on that motion.
Okay.
Any other questions? Get a motion?
I move to approve the final pay app for Harvest Place number 1, less the north end of Sunflower Drive and sidewalk in Lot 2, Block A and Reserve A in the amount of $242,466.16. and approve the mayor to sign. Is that correct?
Contingent upon engineer review and approval.
Contingent upon engineer review and approval.
Perfect.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the final plat pay app for Harvest Place. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the executive session. How much time do we need, do you think? Lloyd? How much time you need? 10 minutes? Okay. Okay. I need a motion.
So is that motion correct as it's written, Sandra? Does it need to be altered? Okay.
it that way, but we'll bring staff in 2 phases.
I move for council to recess an executive session for 10 minutes. Session to include council members, mayor, city administrator Castens, public safety director Newman, parks and public buildings director Owings, and public works director Eggleston in alternating fashion. The open meeting will resume in city council chamber at 8:36.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to go into executive session. A little late. Call the meeting back to order. Ben, you want to report?
Council and staff that I listed previously met in executive session. No official action was taken. At this time, I would like to move to direct staff to release an RFP for additional safety measures at Public Works.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve an RFP for public safety works safety. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Public Works, excuse me. I have a motion and a second to approve an ROP for Public Works.
Public Works safety measures.
Public Works
Yes,
safety.
There it
Yes.
was.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as per. Oh,
Oh.
that's right.
What? Oh, okay. Okay, we have another executive session.
Who, is it everyone? Oh,
Rodney,
Rodney and
just-
you and us? Okay. This time I'm, and what is the,
Same thing.
is it the same statute that we're meeting for? Okay. This time I move for council to recess an executive session for 5 minutes to include council members, mayor, city administrator Castens, and Public Works Director Eggleston. Meeting will resume at 8:45.
Yeah. call the meeting back to order.
Council met in executive session. No official action was taken.
Thank you. Now can I move to the consent agenda? Got a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to staff reports. Kyle.
Just wanted to remind you all that the farmers market is happening again this week. We have Breezy's and Carnival Classics for our food vendors, and then we have 14 market vendors. And then Amanda mentioned the board opening for the rec. I just wanted to let you know that we do have a board opening for the Economic Development Board as well. I do need to get, I think Neil might have one as well, so I might get a social media post out for all three of those boards so that we can notify the public that we have some openings and they can apply. For any questions you might
Any
have.
questions? Thank you, Kyle. Neil.
Again, Mayor and Council, we do actually have a couple of openings on our public properties and outdoor spaces board as well. So we'll work with Kyle on getting that out there and advertised as well. An item that I wanted to bring up to you all, I shared this information with the mayor and with staff. Over at the Lions Park splash pad, we'd recently had some reports of some slips and falls on that splash pad over there, unusual amount apparently. And we did a little investigating. We had some, actually I had staff that told me about it. And then there was some reports from, I believe the public over at the rec or staff that manages the pool. So anyways, long story short, we took upon ourselves and investigated the area over there. We went and addressed the issue in a way we thought was best. The way we did it was we used a high-speed buffer or a slow-speed buffer with a very aggressive pad over the concrete area. We weren't wanting to tear anything up over there, obviously, and we think it was probably attributed to the sealer that had to be applied to the concrete to preserve the color. And we went in and used the buffing mechanism to basically just agitate that top layer. And at face value, when you look at it, you can't even tell other than when there was a little bit of white discoloration from us scrubbing over there. Well, that got all washed down as we went through that process to assist them. Long story short, I think what we achieved was the ability for the aggregate to be exposed just a little bit more. So you went from a feeling of just a little bit of slickness when you touched it to a spot where you felt like your hand definitely grips, or your boot, or when we were testing it on those wet areas. Now, is it going to stop every slip and fall out there? It's wet concrete. But when people are just having issues, or one person that I did speak with that had called and made a concerning phone call to us, I reached back out to her and she explained that her mother had went down just walking and just slipped, just feet went right out underneath her. So that's we feel like we've addressed it. Time will tell if we're having any more problems and issues over there, but we've asked the lifeguard staff to keep us apprised and let us know. So stand for any questions on that.
Questions? Thank you, Neil. Lloyd?
Just wanted to give council a quick update. So we're working on and been tweaking numbers on fire. And we have a meeting set with Sedgwick County next Tuesday. So we hope to bring a report back to council very soon.
Thank you. Rodney?
Quick project update, if we're talking about speed limits for Seneca, it's getting really, really close. We still have a substantial walkthrough scheduled for June 23rd. And that's a substantial walkthrough from 5th all the way to Ford. They were out there painting stripes. They're getting signage ready. It's getting really, really close. Amber Ridge right next door to Trails End. They're working feverishly on last minute stormwater in the front there so they can get started on, so they can get to the point where they can get started on roadway. Arbor Valley 2, I believe they started on the water line portion, laying water line. Vale Point, they've started on water line. So things are moving along.
Rodney, I had a question. Well, first, thank you for the work you and your team put in on the flood situation on 3rd Street.
Oh, thank you.
I saw them
We're
out
not
the
done.
other day and
Thank you.
I walked by, so I just had to thank them while I was there.
You guys have put in a lot of work.
Yeah. Are they done with that or?
They're not, well, no. So essentially, the area right at the end of 3rd Street is the most narrow area.
Yeah.
That little area there, we can't work without a railroad representative because well, not at all times, but it's very easy to be within 25 feet of a set of tracks. If you're within 25 feet of a set of tracks, you can't do any work without a railroad personnel present. So we have to schedule that time. So we went up there. We were able to get some time scheduled enough, and it was really kind of too wet to be working dirt, but we did some dirt work and try to get where the water will come down off of there, but it's not pretty. But we were able to get in there, get some vegetation opened up, get some of them trees cleaned out and some leaves. And so then as things were drying out, we kind of moved on south and worked our way down to 2nd Street, and then they just kept on moving down between 1st Street and Main. And when the windstorm, there were some really huge cottonwood trees down there, and I was kind of skeptical as whether they wanted to tackle them. And the boys said, "Hey, we can do this." And so I said, "Be careful." And they went headlong in there, and they're getting that stuff cleared out of there. They've done a good job. We got a little ways to go, but they've done a very, very good job. So
I found it comical.
help water flow better.
I found it comical that your guys were all out working their tails off in the heat and the railroad guys were in their truck with the windows rolled up and the air conditioner going, just watching. But that part you did between 1st Street and Main Street, that was a huge job. And
Big
it
job.
looks so
Yes,
much
ma'am.
better already. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Ben?
Rodney, do we have updates on I think it's Abilene lift station? Is that moving forward?
Still moving forward. I have to work through with some of the vendors. The vendor that had the pump station and the manhole, he had his own person that was going to dig. The details of the area, it was that his person to dig chose not to. He said he didn't feel comfortable doing that. So we have to look into a different direction to get those manholes
Okay.
installed. So I have to meet with the vendor and the guy that was going to install. We got to work through some cost details and what we've already paid for and what we need to do to go forward.
And the other one was at Sheridan and Maine. We're doing a valve
Sheridan,
access
Maine,
there. What are we doing there? The northwest corner?
That's going to be part of the water treatment plant process. So
I
the
saw
work
some
is-
equipment there, so it made me.
Yes, sir. The work has begun to
Okay.
extend that raw water line on down to the plant. That's
Okay.
what that's starting.
That was all I wanted. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Barry?
And council, this kind of dovetails with Lori's presentation on the electric bikes. In the legislative session of 26, the legislature allowed the cities to consider by ordinance the use of golf carts on public sidewalks. And it didn't really break out beyond sidewalks, but you'll recall this was something that we considered, I think, in 25. I think at least 6 people on the council were aware that there was at least a look at the possibility of allowing golf carts on the 2 sidewalks that are adjacent to Ford Street and 5th Street. Those are about 10 feet wide. And I think Brent's thought was, or maybe some of your thoughts were, that this is wide enough where you really could have golf carts mixing with bikes and pedestrians walking also. That was the only area that I recall was considered at that time. But I just want to bring up the fact that if you're going to consider the electric bike issue, this is a time, I suppose, you could look again at the golf cart issue in certain areas if you think that's something that we ought to be considering. So I just wanted to bring that up as you're thinking about what input to give to Lloyd and what we do on the bikes, whether you think golf cart exception should be allowed on public sidewalks also. And that's really all I have to say about that, unless you have any questions. You don't have to do that, obviously. It's completely up to the city whether you want to take advantage of that ordinance or not.
Okay, thank you, Barry. Janice?
I have
Clint?
Good evening. Couple quick items. First of all, I sent an email out a few days ago. We are going to cancel next Monday's third council meeting. We just have too many things pending right now. The fire situation really affects, employee benefits. Kind of do these things in order. I just would not be able to give you the information you guys would want by next Monday. We are still working on it. We just have to kind of do this thing in order. So we're going to move that back to July 7th. It'll be an earlier council session that starts at 6 p.m. We're going to provide dinner for everybody. I'm going to do most of the talking from 6 to 7 p.m. on nothing but budget information. Anything I don't finish, you can just add as an additional item on new business. But we'll get everybody caught up to speed on the budget stuff on July 7th. Also, it's been a long, long time since we've kind of brought this up, but CASEL, which is the actually everything, accounting, finance, it touches every single department in the entire city. That is the system that's replacing Tyler Technologies, which the city has used for council approved last year that we were going to move to CASEL. They are ahead of schedule. We'd originally talked about March of 2027 going live, and then that kind of pushed to possibly January 1st. Today, I got an update that it is going to be ready to go as early as Cinder and I are going to have some discussions. We're going to have to send some people off to training in Provo, Utah. We're going to figure out that, but I want to give you an update that that's going to be kind of an upgrowing topic too. That will replace our entire accounting, finance, every department in the entire city, even all the way down. So it's kind of like a brain transplant for the city, but we're using very, very old, outdated technology that just we're going to be moving copy to at least. That's all I've got. Any questions for me?
I think so. Thank you, Clint. Amanda?
I have nothing.
Cindra?
Just a brief update. I have continued to be in conversation with the senior living facility in the last several weeks, and I did notice in my email, I haven't read it yet, but I did receive, I think, probably a preliminary draft agreement, which would have been the next step that we would have received. So I just wanted you to know that that is still continuing. Those discussions are continuing. I don't want to be misleading. There's still, that facility still has to secure their collateral for that project. But that next step would be the agreement. And so I think we're headed in that direction. I'll review it and hopefully get it to council soon. Questions on that?
Questions? Thank you. Okay, moving on, governing body reports. I just got the farmer's market for Thursday. We need to get the Valley Center folks out there. It's going to be hot Thursday, but we've got to get bigger attendance than what we've got. We've got great vendors out there, great vendors. So if you got the time, come on down. It doesn't hurt just to walk through the area. Just come and sit with me. I'll sit on a bench and we can chat. So that's all I have. We got Eric.
I got nothing.
Amy,
I have nothing.
Ben,
I have nothing.
Gina,
Nothing.
Jeannie,
nothing.
Chris,
I have nothing.
Matt.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Have a good evening, everybody.